hi, I'm Sin Bolsta, and until recently, I worked at Leighton Broadcasting. I've been in radio a very long time. In fact, my career ended a day after I'd been in for 44 years. So it's been a pretty good ride, and because of my voice and training, it was suggested that maybe I'd want to do a little narration and explain a little bit about Apollo High School, which is perfect because I'm a graduate. In fact, I'm one of the class of 74, the first class to go through all 4 years at the brand new school. Looking forward to telling you about my story, hearing a bunch of stories from other people, and even some other teachers. How is it, by the way, that we're approaching Medicare and Social Security and we still can't call our teachers by their first names? I still can't do that. But we've got a lot of information to cover and it's going to be great, so let's get to it. Let's hear now from current St. Cloud Area School District Superintendent Willie Jett.
This is Superintendent Willie Jett saying happy 50th birthday, Apollo High School. From your innovative concept in 1970 to your visionary ideas for education today and tomorrow, St. Cloud Area School District celebrates Apollo staff, students, and alumni. Congratulations, Eagles past, present, and future.
Thank you, Superintendent Jett. Let's hear from current principal Alicia Fisher.
This is Apollo Principal Alicia Fisher. Happy 50th Apollo High School. From the first principal, Paul Kinney, and every principal in between, we celebrate our staff, students, and community. Congratulations, Eagles. As we celebrate the past 50 years, we look forward to the future ahead.
The 1960s was an era of innovation, creativity, and space exploration. The race to be the first to the moon was in the forefront of every household in the United States. Businesses were booming, and the population was growing here in the small town of St. Cloud, Minnesota. It was apparent by the mid-1960s that a new high school was needed, and one that reflected the current times and the broad future. Apollo High School was imagined for the future, not only in its design, but the way students learned and teachers taught. 65 acres were acquired, and construction began for a large, one-story, modern school building encompassing approximately 375,000 square feet. The school featured a stadium for track, soccer, and football. Apollo opened in the fall of 1970 and was built to house a program with a flexible schedule for 2,500 students with a highlight of a 35,000 square foot resource center at its core. Apollo offered a comprehensive academic program with a wide variety of courses and a flexible schedule in a 21 modular day. Class lengths varied from 2 to 6 mods. Students met in small groups, large groups, or lab groups on a 7-day cycle. Like the Times, Apollo students were empowered to innovate, create, and experiment with their learning. Apollo's first principal, Paul Kinney, spent a great deal of time researching the modular system and assisting with the design of the high school to complement the new style of learning and teaching. Principal Kinney continued to lead the school until his retirement in 1981.
The program, of course, was pretty much Paul Kinney. He had the vision for flexible modular scheduling, and Don Holycross, because the building and the program were pretty well entwined. We wanted to plan a building that would be flexible so you could do anything else with it, but one that would really accommodate that kind of a schedule. The number one criterion always was, do you know what you're getting into? It was going to be rough. It was something we'd never gone into before. Most people had no idea what FlexMod was. The teachers who hadn't demonstrated unusual qualifications for that kind of program, we didn't take. Of course, it's still subjective. There's no test for that. As it turned out, we were about 98% right. Almost everybody we selected was willing to work in that design and enjoyed it.
The year is 1967, and I was a senior at Hamline University. I was signed up in the placement office to do an interview with Don Holycross. When I was in the office, I saw that there was some interviewer coming in the day before. So I thought I'd just go in and blow off an interview and see what I did right and see what I needed to do improve. I came in, the gentleman behind the desk invited me to sit down while he finished his notes. The interview went well. I didn't have any sense that I'd done anything incredibly stupid. The interview concluded, and then this gentleman, Paul Kinney, stood up. And he stood up. And he kept standing up. I was 5'10", and I remember looking at this towering human being and thinking, oh, I'm glad I didn't know how tall you were before we started. I left the room without giving it another thought and said to myself, well, at least I'm ready for tomorrow. Paul called me at 6 o'clock the next morning and offered me a job. Those were the days when, at least rumor had it, that superintendents would offer a number of people a job, send them out contracts, and then when the contracts came back in, they wouldn't sign them. So the person really didn't have a job. So I in fact challenged Paul and said, is this a real job offer, or are you just gathering paper so you can make a selection later? And he said, this is a real job offer. And I said, I accept.
When I was at Cambridge, I must have made some impression on them because the principal came to see me near the end of my stay and said, we're a growing school and we're going to need to hire some teachers for next year, and you come highly recommended from your cooperating teachers. If you'd like to consider a job here, I think I could offer you a position for next fall. However, I knew that St. Cloud was in the process of building this new high school that was slated to open in the fall of 1970. So I told the gentleman at Cambridge that I was going to write a letter to Paul Kinney. That would be my first choice. And he was very understanding about that. So I wrote to Paul and said, when you start interviewing, I'd be very interested in a job at that new school. I enclosed copies of my recommendations. In January, I was informed that interviews were going to be conducted, and so I went for an interview with Paul Kinney and Don Matakis. I remember wondering if I should shave off my mustache. I decided to keep the mustache, went in for the interview, and had questions from both of them. Sometime in late January or early February, they offered me a contract. One of the great equalizers in opening this new school was that veteran teachers and those newly minted were all on an equal playing field. How do we make it work? The small groups were the real strength of the program. It brought the teacher-student ratio down to about 1 to 12 or 1 to 15. It brought the numbers down to where real learning and real rapport building between the teachers and students could occur. I have a vivid memory of my first small group in one of those very small corner rooms. I was going over the course procedures and the syllabus and what we were planning to do. I reached the point where I asked the class if they had any questions. A young man who I'll never forget said, yeah, how long have you been teaching? I said, well, about 10 minutes now. How am I doing? I, Paul Kinney, was the first principal of Apollo High School, serving from 1969 until 1981. Apollo High School was a unique place in which to learn and teach. Its program, known as Flexible Modular, encompassed much more than a scheduling concept. It was a product of the 1950s in American philosophy. There were many educators at that time who were asking questions about the condition and appearance of the American secondary school, which hadn't changed appreciably since its inception after the Civil War. After Sputnik, the American public was alarmed that the Russians might be ahead of us in education and demanded that some changes be made. After extensive study, Apollo adopted a FlexMod design, along with other aspects of the new programming, such as team teaching, independent study, large and small group experiences, and other new features when it opened in 1970. To place this radical new design into a conservative community and to uproot students from a traditional, beloved high school was dramatic and traumatic. Few schools that adopted this new design survived more than a few years for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, the class of 74, I feel very pleased to be part of that. Again, having come from another town and just coming here when Apollo opened, and again, it being new, it was new for all of us, and it was exciting for all of us. And we also were taking a risk academically with that modular scheduling and that time in the commons and the time like in the music room, but giving the challenge to students to do the best they can in each and every one activity they'd like to, or just hang out with their friends. And so I do think, just hanging out and being together was very important for us as a class. Yeah. Well, let me tell you one thing that I was very impressed about, and that was the principal that we had, Paul Kinney. Paul was just so gregarious. He was out everywhere. But he really was interested in all the students. Paul cared about every student that was in his building. When I got to know Paul later in life as well, just a great man with a great vision.
Well, the modular scheduling system was something that I really embrace. Apollo High School was built with the idea that they were going to incorporate modular scheduling, which was a totally different type of system, and consequently The school was built for the system. Learning is an active participation sport. You can't be passive. What Apollo High School tried to do with kids is gave them freedom. The other side of freedom is responsibility. So you are basically responsible for your own learning. The idea is that you have to be led, and that's what educare means, to lead. Teachers lead people to where they should be. People like to be shown what to do, not told what to do, and if you do it, probably that's what Apollo High School tried to do. The best single indicator of intelligence is the knowledge of the meanings of words. So with that premise in mind, I taught a course called semantics. And the more words you know, the more you can understand. If you know the word talkative means garrulous, loquacious. I got all those words that I can use, that I can nuance things, and I can read better, I can write better, I can speak better, I can listen better, because I know what the words mean. So that's what I think Apollo High tried to do, put the onus on the student to continue their learning after the teacher led them where they're supposed to go. So just when I go to McDonald's, I ask the kid, can I help you? I said, no, I think it's may I help you. I know you can help me, but you're asking permission.
And of course, there was Mr. Leeser's semantic studies. All these years later, whenever I see him, he still asks how I'm living, and I have to say in penury, because I remember one of his quotes was, when we were young, our family lived in penury, squalor. And he had actually given me an A before even any of the testing, because he knew that I was going to love it, and I love words thanks to him. I was pretty straight-laced, goody two-shoes, and I basically hung out in the teachers' English offices. That's kind of where I spent most of my time. You know what's really amazing to me? You look at that school now, and it's so old, and the technology is so different, but that when I walked in that doors for the first time, it was all so new and shiny and cutting edge, kind of like Tech and Sartell are now for the time.
In 1973 and 1976, independent research done by St. John's University validated what Apollo staff and students already knew. Apollo was an exciting place to be. Students, teachers, and parents overwhelmingly supported the school, and students enjoyed learning in this new environment. Then guidance director Ed Roos found in his follow-up studies that Apollo students were successful in post-high endeavors and had a good secondary experience. Apollo's ability to sustain an innovative and creative structure can be understood because Apollo, 1, had a young staff that volunteered to work in a new design, 2, had a staff that was properly instructed in this new design, and 3, had a building that was designed for the FlexMod program. It's also my opinion that the staff was of such high quality that it would have been able to make any delivery system viable. At this writing, it's now almost 20 years since I retired from Apollo. There has rarely been a day during that time when I've not remembered with great joy the days spent at Apollo, where staff and students continually found new and creative ways to maximize learning and adapt new strategies to individual circumstances. I believe every teacher and student who was at Apollo recognized its uniqueness, and in overwhelming numbers profited from it. The administrative and political environment that gave birth to Apollo and other secondary schools at that time stimulated its philosophy and encouraged its progress. That's needed in secondary education and indeed all education today. Those were the days, my friend. I thought they'd never end.
Well, I transferred from a very small town of 60 students in my class to a school of about 2,000. So I was a bit overwhelmed my first few days at Apollo, and I came as in my junior year of high school. I think the friendships that you form in high school stay with you, as you mentioned, for a lifetime. And also just the incredible learning atmosphere that I had here. Opportunities to work, pursue things that I really wanted because of the modular schedule, as you referred to. I could really have a good understanding of what my skills were to focus in on classes that I really enjoyed, and I think it really helped to lay a foundation for a successful career.
You know, the one thing that Apollo had back then that was so different and great, that made schooling so much different for a lot of kids, was the ability to take so many other different classes, to learn the trades. What Apollo did was acknowledge that not everybody learns the same.
Some of the favorite memories here at Apollo, I graduated in '78. It was the school spirit,
Graduating class about 550, and I think I knew 550. I mean, it was really a tight-knit family. I was on student council for all 4 years. Every sport known to man. We had intramural basketball. I was on the gymnastics team, so every kid was busy, but it was always something you wanted to do. In '78, I was on the homecoming committee, and I was in charge of the parade. I created a kazoo band, so I was the kazoo band leader. And unfortunately, there's newspaper clippings. We invited the governor, the mayor. It was very well attended. I can't remember who we played, but we won. I mean, it was a perfect homecoming. You definitely had a lot of choices, and that was the cool part about it. You wanted to be in school.
What I really remember is getting into my first English class, and Mr. Cheeley was my teacher, and he was doing roll call. And he got to me and he said, Nora O'Brien. And I said, here. And he said, are you from the O'Briens? I said, yes. And he said, are there any more of you?
So my first year was my junior year, and we got to choose the mascot and the school colors, among other things. And the mascot came down to the Eagles or the Astronauts, and we went with the Eagles, a good choice. And then the colors came down to either red, white, and blue or gold and black, because St. Cloud Tech was, of course, orange and black for the Tigers. We did not go with the gold and black. We went with red, white, and blue.
And did you want to say anything else about the mascot?
Maybe the costume?
They're referring to the fact that during my junior year, he talked me into being the Eagle. Pictures that exist in my year, so I have to admit that. And Tech was really overcrowded my sophomore year, so I just remember all the space and how it seemed so modern and just so nice.
I was really fired up about the hamburger line at lunch. That lasted about a month or so, and I got tired.
I do remember having to go from like the A wing to the C wing and figuring out like how many minutes does it take to go that far in the school.
I'd say the same thing about the size, and kind of the first few days figuring out, because the hallways all look the same, and trying to figure out, because it was all modular. Finding your way around was always interesting, and going from class to class.
A lot of our teachers came from up north, Hibbing, the Iron Range area. They were all recent graduates of college. And so when you looked at like Kathy, myself, or Dennis, that they got older as you guys came on.
I was going to say they weren't when we got there.
I know, but they were only probably 5 years older than us.
Yeah.
So it was really a cool, enthusiastic team in kind of their first or second teaching engagements. Very enthusiastic, and it was easy for them to relate to us, I believe.
I would agree. I thought it was a great bunch of staff. Yeah, agreed. And I have to also give a shout out to Paul Kinney, because I always felt he really led the group and came up with all kinds of innovations and was a really important part of the beginning of Apollo.
Yep. Well, just seeing him walking through the commons, visiting with people or in the hallways, it was always a really cool thing, I thought.
One of the things that really made it work was the architecture of the school, with all those small rooms, the small classrooms. And so the curriculum was set up that there could be, a lecture with a big talk or something, but then it would go into these small group discussions, which was great for teaching the kids. And it was great for us to get to know the teachers. That's part of why we remember them so well. Yep. And then it was also great preparation for, whatever came next, because everybody had a chance to talk in a small group. It wasn't just sit there and let it wash over you. It was really teaching kids to be critical thinkers and express themselves. So that was I think kind of an innovative thing, which was designed into the school from the beginning.
Mm-hmm. The other thing it did well too was in those groups, in your classes, you'd have kids from different grades. You know, so there were very few
Right.
classes where freshmen or just seniors. Most of it, so I actually have probably as many friends in Tim's class and in the class behind me in 76 I had in the 75 class because of all the, some of my best friends actually were in different grades than I was.
Yeah, same. That's interesting.
Thing. Yep.
Of course, our house was like Cheers anyway, so anybody that walked in, it's like, come on in. So all our friends are everybody's friends. All of us were in choir. Jenny and I were in band, and then Hank and Kathy were involved in a lot of the plays.
I was on the tennis team.
I was an astronaut.
Sports, dance line.
Theater.
The thing I spent a lot of time was the debate club, which was a lot of fun. A couple of the musicals, Bye Bye Birdie and The King and I. One year, the summer school class was outdoor living. We spent some time canoeing on the pond. We went canoeing down the Mississippi River. And then the end of that summer school class was a trip to the Boundary Waters canoe area. Wow. That was really a fabulous high school experience.
I remember one year taking cross-country skiing. I think that's the only time I got an A in Fayette.
I have a really clear memory of the very first year we did not have a homecoming because there was no one to come home. So we called it a festival. But my senior year, we had our first homecoming, and I was kind of the chairperson of the events, and I was also the MC at the coronation. And I just remember standing on that stage and looking out at in the theater and thinking that it was such a great school with the facilities being so much fun, and it was our first homecoming. So I have a great memory of that.
We used to have to hold the basketball games at Hollenbeck Hall when Tech played Apollo because there were so many fans that would come to those. It was just a different atmosphere. It was really popular.
Just that flexibility and try something new, try something different was kind of a hallmark, I think, of Apollo.
Well, and also I mentioned being an astronaut. Jenny and I have lifelong friends from me being an astronaut. We still see these women.
Got a few retirees in this group. Go ahead.
Not much.
I did work at the Sauk Rapids High School, like I said, for 30 years in the office. Loved every minute of it.
My kids would tell you they didn't know what I did. Right, after graduated from St. Cloud State, I got involved in working at Honeywell, and then ended up working in the commercial airlines, and I spent the rest of my life developing products. Since I retired a couple of years ago, and now I'm a full-time grandpa.
I took a computer class at Apollo, and because of that, I got this love of using computers to help things work better in the world. And then since then, I've been working as a consultant, sometimes for companies in industry. And sometime in the next couple of years, I'm going to join my siblings with this retirement thing. But so far, I'm having too much fun.
Well, I just retired a little bit ago. Woo! At Apollo, one of the great things about that flexible schedule at Apollo was that you could do stuff at your own speed. And so I loved math and physics when I was at Apollo. In fact, I took the foundations math class in my junior year. So I decided that's what I wanted to do. So I went to St. John's University, and then I went to Brown University in Rhode Island, where I got a PhD in theoretical physics. And so then in the late 1980s, I started to work at the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory as a physicist. And so I was there at the National Laboratory for 32 and a half years up until last year. So that's what I did.
Jenny, you get to follow that resume.
But I am currently a communications officer with the Minnesota Department of Labor and Industry. We're all about workplace safety and health, so we've been a little busy for the last 9 months.
I went to St. Cloud State and got a degree in math with a minor in computer science. So I ended up working with computers, and I've been a software developer ever since. And now I work for a company called Trimin Systems out of Roseville, and I'm doing software development for various manufacturing companies all over the country.
I ended up crossing paths with another couple former Apollo grads who started a data analytics company. And so I worked for a company he started called RiskWise that got sold to LexisNexis. And then he started another company called eBureau that recently got sold to TransUnion, a major credit bureau. So I ended up just working in data analytics almost by happenstance. Hopefully seeing the light at the end of the tunnel fairly soon.
Great memories, great friends. The school itself was so pioneering, you know, and just such a new, the building was new, the schedule was new, the teachers were new. It was a great time.
Well, and you never didn't want to go to school. At Apollo, I never felt that way.
Right.
I always wanted to go to school.
There was just like we've talked about, there was just a lot of teachers that did more than just what they, were required to do and went kind of above and beyond.
My bad standoff story is I followed him in the lunch line one day.
Oh, you're not really going to tell it. No, this is on film. This recorded.
This part.
You're going to have to cut that part.
Yeah.
Do we have any say in the video before it goes out?
And the freedom to make your own decisions, and we weren't in this really structured schedule, so we had to manage our own time.
And I think just to be part of, like you said, something so innovative and so new, and to be there when it started, that is just a really, really great memory, really, really important memory in our lives.
Yeah.
I think the foundation that Apollo gave you to be flexible and be confident, and they would challenge you. They would challenge you to do things, and then you could go off and do it, whether it be photography or pottery or astronauts or theater. You always were challenged, and you could always be successful, and they always encouraged you. I think that brought this diversity and willingness to try things, even in a tight family like ours.
Yeah, I think that's really true. There was so many things you could just try to see if you liked it.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for including us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye.
See ya.
After years of campaigning and fundraising, and with the help of Senator Durenberger, an exciting new addition came to Apollo High School. An Apollo Mission Training space capsule arrived in 1981. In its retirement, the capsule still proudly serves in front of the high school, reminding students and staff as they enter and exit the building of the importance and significance of its namesake. The 1980s also brought about further change. Personal computers were introduced into classrooms, and students now experienced hands-on learning with computerized technology. In addition to computers, televisions were introduced into classrooms, as well as classes in television and radio production. A studio was established to provide students the opportunity to explore a whole new career path. Music in the 1980s evolved to include heavy metal bands, and music was re-envisioned into videos. MTV and VH1 were a new pastime of students. Big hair and big music represented the 1980s.
I am Karen Ramseth, and I teach biology and AP biology. I've been here for 25 years teaching. I've been here for 4 years going to high school. The kids are wonderful. I guess I feel very blessed with the fact that I have gotten to see the diversity change in these last 25 years, the technology that has changed. The fortunate thing with the technology now is that we can do distant learning. The connections with the students, very important. If I show them respect, they respect me back. Very neat experience that I've seen in this school is that all of our kids are friends. You know, they're not scared to be friends with somebody. It's been very cohesive. My senior board, those are just kids from the years past. It's been kind of a nice thing for them to come back, because I really do only see them in 10th grade. So for them to come back their senior year with pictures is very nice.
While the 1980s brought computers and television, the 1990s launched the internet and electronic mail. Information and resources were now available at the students' fingertips. Students no longer needed to rely on encyclopedias and dictionaries. Instead, search engines on AOL and Yahoo became the new go-to to find information. By the 1990s, the modular system at Apollo was replaced with a more traditional style learning model with 6 to 7 daily periods and student electives. Curriculum focused on giving students samplings of many opportunities for career paths. Students were required to sample the arts, industrial arts, and language, among others, in addition to their math, science, and English requirements. Surviving the Y2K scare in 1999, the 2000s introduced social media, more computer access for students, and a world connected through the internet in daily life. Classes became more integrated with computer technology, with web design and computer coding classes offered. Industrial arts were reintroduced as career and technology education became computerized. Students also had personal mobile devices to keep information at their fingertips. Learning could happen anywhere, and students were no longer tied to the classroom.
I think the Apollo legacy, going back from the infancy of Apollo, has always been, at Apollo is innovation. When Paul Kenny created the system at Apollo, it was innovative, it was new, it was different. And I think that our staff and our students thrive on that. They thrive on where we came from, but also just trying to always grow and always try to be, up to date of what's going on, and being innovative has always been something that I've really feel that I've felt in my 15 years here. To see where you're at now is looking back at all the people that have come through. I think that this 50th celebration is going to be about that. Over the years, I've had great opportunities to give tours to different groups that are celebrating, coming back for different reunions, and getting to know some people, getting to know people that were in the first graduating class. To last fall, we brought the a 20th reunion around, and just to hear stories, to see the space, how things have changed, how some things are the same, but also being in the community. It's always Apollo's great to be out when you're, getting groceries or doing those type of things. And if you're wearing an Apollo sweatshirt, Apollo hat, just to have a 5-minute conversation with someone who went through here and they've always got a story, whether it be about Paul Kenny, still get asked about the modular schedule, and people are curious. They want to know. So I would just say that, we always want to welcome our alumni back and be a part of it, and, come check out what we're doing now, and just, once an eagle, always an eagle. Absolutely.
I love the atmosphere at Apollo and how everybody's really positive, and I feel like you can go up and talk to anybody, and it's kind of just like a big family atmosphere. They're very friendly, and I also like how diverse it is.
Probably the diversity here. It sets you up for the real world.
I think the staff are really nice. They try to make relationships with the students, and the students are pretty welcoming to each other.
I would say I appreciate that it's really diverse. I see a lot of people from a lot of different walks of life, which I think helps me once I step into the real world.
My favorite class is probably AP Computer Science. Mr. Stockinger does a great job, and he makes me feel like I'm his friend more than a student,
Definitely my health classes. Last year I took anatomy and physiology, which I liked a lot. It was really interesting. And then this year I get to take health careers and an internship as well, which is also really interesting, and it helps with my future. It's a good opportunity.
I really like the art classes. They're really fun, and my favorite class that I've taken so far is AP Psych.
I think it's become more of a family.
Overall, the atmosphere has become more of a family atmosphere.
Last year I was inducted into the National Honor Society in Apollo. I also was part of Link Crew.
I'm in Apollo Girls Swimming, and I'm in Nordic Skiing, and I do some theater stuff too.
I really want to be a dermatologist or an anesthesiologist.
Apollo has given me a lot of opportunities to experience college classes and take AP classes.
Apollo has afforded me the opportunity to learn and to grow as a person, as a student, and prepare me for the future.
And it's also given me the opportunity to get to know other people and make new friends. Apollo is a welcoming space, and everybody's welcome here. You'll never feel left out.
You definitely feel like Apollo has helped make you grow and flourish, and has given you a lot of opportunities to become your better self.
Today, Apollo features 8 tennis courts, 4 softball fields, 4 soccer fields, 3 baseball and football fields, and 1 track. It offers a rigorous curriculum to prepare students for college and career success. Students engage in core curriculum, as well as numerous electives, including world languages, technology, and fine arts. Apollo offers 19 advanced placement courses, senior to sophomore, post-secondary enrollment options, and Project Lead the Way to prepare students for college-level coursework. In addition, Apollo offers project-based programs in engineering, welding, construction, and automotive. Students participate in numerous competitive athletic opportunities, as well as academic and fine arts activities and clubs. Now a word from Mayor Kleiss.
Hi, I'm St. Cloud Mayor Dave Kleiss. I want to congratulate Apollo on 50 years. 50 years of tradition. The building is 50 years old, but more importantly is the students that have walked through the hallways of Apollo and have made a difference not only in this community, but throughout the nation and throughout the world. It's more than just a building, although the building's significant. Historically, 50 years ago, for a city our size to have two high schools that have led to a tremendous accomplishment in our community, in our region, our state, and our nation. And so congratulations, Apollo, as you celebrate 50 years. We're looking for a lot of things to happen from the graduates of Apollo, and we've seen that already over those 50 years, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot more over the next 50 years and beyond. As a mayor, I have the honor of being able to proclaim today Apollo High School Day in honor of 50 years of excellence and tradition. Happy Apollo Day, and congratulations again to Apollo.
Thank you, Mayor Kleiss. Apollo alumni have been successful all over the world, from innovators and entrepreneurs to State Department officials, from doctors, judges, and lawyers to musicians, from writers to photographers. We span the globe.
I'm the school board chair this year for the district. I just want to wish everybody watching this video a happy 50th anniversary for Apollo. Go Eagles!
Go Apollo Eagles!
Go Apollo Eagles, go!
Go Apollo Eagles! Go Apollo Eagles!
Go Apollo Eagles!
Happy 50th, Apollo High School. Now we're looking forward to the next 50 years, and we celebrate you. I need to stroke the bunny.
It is really soft.
It is really. I would like earmuffs made out of this. E-A-G-L-E-S-O, the Eagles are the very best. Let's go. The Eagles are the best. Okay.
That is recorded.
Finish this baby.
Okay.